Ever wondered what sparked Mark Hitchcock's passion for end times prophecy? Or what issues has been hardest for him to work out? Then join us as we sit down with Mark to hear more to the story.
So Mark, tell us, how did you get interested in Bible prophecy and studying Bible prophecy?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I became a believer when I was 5 years old. I was watching Billy Graham on television as a young boy and grew up in a great Christian family. And I went to a really good church. And in 1970, the late great Planet Earth came out. So I was about 10 years old, I think, when that came out. And everybody was reading that in the youth group. My sister was a couple years older than me in like junior high. They called it junior high back then.
Yeah.
And so everybody was reading that book. And I remember kind of looking at it a few times and, just thought, boy, this is fascinating. And then there was a movie that came out called The Thief in the Night. And it was, if you watch it now, I mean, it's kind of a B kind of type movie. I think it's kind of a little bit cheesy, but they showed that one Wednesday night at church. It was either a Wednesday night or Sunday night. And that was back here, you had the old projector, the reel to reel, rattling, up there on the screen. And it was about, it was kind of reenacting the rapture and a lot of these events that would take place. And so it was during that time that I really got fascinated in prophecy. Now, it was kind of dormant for a while. I mean, I was always interested in that, but we going through high school and college, and in my early 20s, I started studying the Bible with this man, an older man, and I started asking him prophecy questions. He began to give me some books, like the commentary on the book of Revelation by H.A. Ironside's book on Daniel, and I just began to devour those books, and because for the first time I began to really realize what the whole Bible was about, and began to put it together. And because I'd been reading through the Bible, getting these large swaths of the Bible, I had no idea what it was talking about. And so I remember years ago asking Dr. Walvoord one time, why he loved Bible prophecy, and he said, because I love the Bible. Almost 28% of the Bible was prophecy at the time it was written. So really that's what got me interested in prophecy, was I just wanted to understand the Bible better. And it was really Bible prophecy that really began to put the pieces of all of God's Word together for me.
Right. And you now are currently a pastor of a church. So talk a little bit about that and your ministry that you have there as well.
It's called Faith Bible Church, and it's in Edmond, Oklahoma. And we came there right after we graduated from Dallas Seminary. So we've been there, this fall will be 32 years. Wow. Been there at Faith Bible Church. So came there, all those years ago. It was actually, that church was a kind of an outgrowth of the church I had grown up in. It wasn't really officially a church plant, but it was just some people that lived, our church was in Oklahoma City. These were people who lived in Edmond, which is a suburb, who wanted to have a church in their community. So they started that church. And after it had been there about 11 years, the previous pastor retired. And so that's when my wife and I came there. And so it's been a great place to be. It's been tremendous for our family. You never find a better group of people than we have at our church. I love it.
Did you always want to be a pastor? Was that?
Well, no. I was a lawyer before I went to Dallas Seminary.
Okay.
So when I got out of college, I went to law school for 3 years, and then was an attorney for 4 years, and I worked at the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals. So I had no thought about being a pastor. But during that period of time in my life in law school, there were some dramatic things happening in my life. I really hadn't been living for the Lord for a while. And I always say my wife married a lawyer and ended up with a preacher, so she kind of did the bait and switch with my wife. So it's not something I'd always desired to do, but it became very compelling in my life in my early 20s, early to mid 20s, that's what God wanted me to do. So we made a major move and moved down to Dallas and went to Dallas Seminary, and it's something I've never looked back on and regretted in any way. It's been the greatest adventure I can ever imagine in life.
That's great.
What led you then to go on to PhD studies, and now you teach as well?
I thought I'd like to teach at a seminary someday, and I knew that to do that I'd have to have a PhD. So when we came to Faith Bible Church, a church I pastor, I pastored there for about 4 years, and then in the fall of 1996 I decided to go and start working on my PhD. So back in those days, that was before 9/11, you could fly a lot easier.
Yes,
And so I would
yes.
fly down every week for 1 day a week and then back.
Wow.
And did that for about 4 years, about 4 years time, and kind of got a lot of the coursework finished during that time. And then, a lot of it after that was working on my dissertation and all. So anyway, it took 9 years to finish doing it that way.
Sure.
But the church I pastored to, they were gracious. They paid for my whole PhD study program.
Wow.
So I finished that, and then I started pretty much immediately teaching at Dallas Seminary as an adjunct, and did that for several years. And then I kind of went to half-time, and now my official title, it's a research professor of Bible exposition at Dallas Seminary. So it's great. It's kind of the best of both worlds. I get to go down to Dallas Seminary and interact with students down there. For a while, I would drive back and forth every week and teach. I did that for about 8 years.
Wow.
But now I'm just teaching hybrid classes.
Okay.
So I'll go one weekend during the semester. We'll kind of all gather there and meet and teach on Thursday night, all day Friday, all day Saturday. And then the rest of the semester, they just watch videos and things like that. So
Great.
that's really helped a lot with my schedule.
Sure.
Because I teach at the seminary and then pastor at the church in Edmond. And I'm involved with a ministry called endtimes.com. So I do videos for them, write articles for them. So between those three things, it keeps me busy.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd say
It sounds
so.
like it, yes.
Yeah.
And then I come do programs like
That's
this.
right, yes.
Yeah.
Which is a great
Which we love,
which is
yes.
a great privilege. by the way.
Yes, oh,
Yeah.
thanks. We're so glad you could join us. If you would like to explore more of our resources on end time prophecy, including some of our past programs with Mark Hitchcock, just click on the link nearby.